Guys, it's here. It's finally here. The first Fallout 4 DLC. Or rather, that's actually somewhat inaccurate since we didn't just get an announcement for the first DLC, but we actually got an announcement for 3, yeah that's right, 3 different DLC. From the way things are looking, in addition to a couple of standard massive DLC that Bethesda likes to release, we're also going to be getting some smaller add-ons. And from what I can tell, these smaller add-ons will not replace the main DLC in any way, so from first looks it seems like we're getting a lot more additional content than in the past. The first 2 add-ons I'm going to talk about in this video, called Automatron and Wasteland Workshop, seem to be small fun little things to keep us satisfied until Far Harbor, which is the first real DLC we're going to be getting for Fallout 4. Anyways, without further ado, let's get straight into this, and the first add-on I want to discuss is Automatron. Here's Bethesda's description of this add-on. The mysterious mechanist has unleashed a horde of evil robots into the Commonwealth, including the devious Robo-Brain. Hunt them down and harvest their parts to build and mod your own custom robot companions. Choose from hundreds of mods including mixing limbs, armor, abilities, and weapons like the all-new lightning chain gun. Even customize their paint and choose their voices. Finally, this add-on is going to be released in March of 2016 for $10. Okay, so the first thing to note is that this DLC is definitely going to be introducing quite a few new robotic enemies such as the Robo-Brain. Which is a rather interesting move since I feel like the robotic enemies in Fallout 4 are already pretty diverse, but at the same time I'm not one to complain about getting more enemies. What's more interesting than this though, is that it seems we're going to be getting an expansion on the crafting and the weapon modding system. To begin with, we're going to be able to craft our very own robot companions as the screenshot you guys are seeing on the screen right now shows off. Even more though, the expansion is going to be adding hundreds of new mods, not only for your robot, but also for weapons. It's also going to introduce new weapons such as the lightning chain gun. Although one clarification I should probably make is that this is worded somewhat ambiguously, so we don't know if the weapons are only for the robots or if you can use them as well, so it might be that the hundreds of mods and the weapons are only for your robot, in which case I would still be excited, but a little bit disappointed. Finally, my prediction for this DLC is that it's not going to add too many new quests or new locations, if any at all, to be honest. I could see a rather minor quest line involving the Mechanist, but even that is a little bit doubtful. And the reason why I say this is that this add-on is only $10, so it seems to be a mini add-on of sorts, and they're already introducing a ton of new enemies and expansions to the crafting system, which makes me think that it would be a bit too much to add a ton of new quests and locations as well. But hey, I could always be wrong on that. The next DLC Bethesda has given us information on is a smaller $5 DLC called Wasteland Workshop. Here's how they describe it on Bethesda.net. With Wasteland Workshop, design and set cages to capture live creatures from raiders to deathclaws. Tame them or have them face off in battle, even against your fellow settlers. The Wasteland Workshop also includes a suite of new design options for your settlements like the Nixie tube lighting, letter kits, taxidermy, and more. So remember that arena we saw way back in the initial trailer for Fallout 4? Well, this is pretty much that arena. With this add-on, we're going to be able to force creatures to battle to the death in arenas and cages within our settlements. Which is actually kind of messed up, but more importantly really cool. Also, it seems as though Wasteland Workshop is going to expand a good deal on the settlement building system. What this means is probably more structures and options for our settlements. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a massive overhaul or anything like that, but I do think we can expect to have a lot more things to play around with in our settlements. Overall, given its description and the fact that it's only $5, I'm expecting this DLC to be a Hearthfire from Skyrim type of expansion. It's not going to be anything too crazy, but from the looks of it, it will definitely be worth the price. Finally, and most importantly, let's talk about the Far Harbor DLC, which is clearly the biggest of the 3 add-ons. Bethesda describes this DLC as follows. A new case from Valentine's detective agency leads you on a search for a young woman in a secret colony of synths. Travel off the coast of Maine to the mysterious island of Far Harbor, where high levels of radiation have created a more feral world. Navigate through the growing conflict between synths, the children of Adam, and local townspeople. Will you work towards bringing peace to Far Harbor, and at what cost? Far Harbor features the largest landmass for an add-on that we've ever created, filled with new faction quests, settlements, lethal creatures, and dungeons. Become more powerful with new, higher level armor and weapons. The choices are all yours. Finally, the DLC will be priced at $25 and is coming out in May of 2016. Okay, so the first and perhaps most interesting tidbit from Bethesda's description is that they've chosen Maine as the location for this DLC, which is somewhere we've never been in the Fallout series. I definitely can't say that I was expecting this as a location, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm super excited for it. Not sure about you guys, but I'm getting a ton of Point Lookout vibes from this add-on, which is definitely not a bad thing since we all know how awesome that DLC was back in Fallout 3. Also, as expected, the DLC is going to be introducing new creatures, dungeons, armor, weapons, and more, which is very interesting, but I'm going to sort of skim over it for now since there's something else that caught my attention while reading this. So, Bethesda says in this description that we're going to be getting, and I quote, new faction quests. Does this mean that they're going to be introducing a new faction, or are we just going to get quests related to the factions already existing in Fallout 4? I think there's a pretty valid argument for both, but if I had to choose, I would actually go with the former. That is, they're going to introduce a new faction in the Far Harbor DLC. The reason I say this is why in the hell would any of the factions currently in Fallout 4 venture up to Maine? What business could they possibly have there? I have a really hard time believing that the Minutemen or the Brotherhood would be interested in some small random island even if it is home to a secret synth colony. The Institute and Railroad would definitely be interested in something like this, but in the description it said that you're sent by Valentine's Detective Agency and not the Institute or Railroad, which makes me think that Bethesda is potentially hinting at a new faction here. So this is all pure speculation, but my prediction for this DLC is that we're going to be getting a new faction of some kind. Another interesting thing to note is that Bethesda specifically said there's going to be a lot of radiation on this island, which most likely means that the creatures at Far Harbor are going to be super strong and most likely all new designs that we've never seen before. But what's more interesting is I think this can be linked with the recent survival mode overhaul, which by the way, if you guys haven't heard about this yet, I'll leave a link to a video I did discussing it down in the description. Anyways, we know that in the survival mode overhaul, Bethesda is going to be doing a lot with diseases, so what I think is that the island is going to be home to a ton of radiation related disease. My prediction is that one of this DLC's aims is going to be to take advantage of the incoming survival mode overhaul, and as such it's going to be home to a ton of diseases and the like. Which sounds very cool, new, unique, and above all exciting. Overall, I gotta say that I'm really hyped for this DLC, and I hope it's as good as people are making it out to be. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. Also, I want to apologize if I wasn't able to go too in depth on the DLC, but I will say that I plan on releasing videos next week and this weekend in which I'll do an in-depth analysis of each one individually. Otherwise, I want to thank you once again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.